Things I learned in these 9 years about the ukulele as an instrument. It looks like shit, the picture. Anyway, that are not clear just a second. Okay, things I learned in these years that are not clear and that people don't talk about the instrument that you buy. Now this is a pineapple ukulele. First things first, when you read the specific ukulele, not every time you get how deep it is, and depth influences the sound. Usually many brands cut costs on the sides, so you can have two instruments that have a significant, you see, difference in the depth. Depth influences the depth of the sound. Obviously, it's a matter of choice. Maybe you don't like that deep sound that having more square centimeters inside gives you. But many brands cut costs on the sides. Usually, unless it's a thin line instrument that is made and advertised for what it is, thin line, that means it's even thinner than this. It's a kind of a travel ukulele. Good brands like Takamine have a deep body. Okay. Second thing, not all tenors or concerts or soprano have exactly the same scale. They can vary up to a certain point, but there can, even with the baritone, there are significant differences in scale, even 1 fret different. Same amount of fret, but one is longer by 1 fret. Other things, solid versus laminated. This is a laminated instrument and this is a solid top. Which one sounds better? This. That doesn't mean that solid top are not good. Yes, they are good, but there are other things to be taken into account. Among this is the braces. An instrument that has thin braces, tapered braces, scalloped braces, whatever, sounds as a rule better. If it had laminated top, a solid sprue top, for say making, would sound better. But publicizing, advertising an instrument with solid top, it's easy to get a solid top. It's more complicated to build a well-built instrument. So if you are into a store, look inside the instrument, not only to see if it's tidy, but to see the braces. The braces are these thin things of wood there, or not so thin, that go either this way or this way. There are different kinds of bracing. So pay attention to the depth of the instrument, the scale of the instrument, the bracing of the instrument. Other things are less significant because you can change tuners, okay, but you cannot change the scale, you cannot change the bracing. Other things, whether this is a new bone or tusk material that or real bone that convey the sound from the strings to the top, so make the instrument sound better. This is more important, but also this is important, but this is more important to have a tusk, T-U-S-Q, I think, and a new bone, okay? Much better than ABS plastic or whatever. I speak instruments that have this. There are some instruments like archtop, they have a wooden bridge, but not so common. If this is flat, it has a sound. If this curved, usually curved backs don't have braces because the curve shape is solid, okay? That's why the Roman built arches. An arched back gives more sound. That's why thin line instruments usually have an arched back. Archtop. I don't have an archtop instrument. But archtop instruments have a different sound. Very, very different sound. Not very common in the ukulele word. Try to find an instrument that doesn't have this. It's a hard tail here. The strings go up to here. Much expensive. Much more expensive than the other. And usually they don't even have a solid top. Many times they're amplified. Solid tops tend to give feedback if you're amplified more than laminate. Laminate instruments. I know this is difficult, even I cannot tell, but there are some laminate that are good and are not so good. The problem is that we cannot tell. So if you are in a store, strum. I don't know why in stores, at least in Italy, they are never in tune. You have to tune them up. That it's not easy if you want to listen to the general sound of the instrument. These are things that you have to take into account when you buy an instrument. I bought the Highlander. I thought it was spectacular, even if it was laminated. At the end of the day, nothing to write home about. So even good brands can give you duds, lemon. I don't know, maybe in time it will grow me, but as opposed to my Takamine, doesn't have the sound, it doesn't have that, I think, magic sound that Takamine has, even if it's an old laminate instrument. Other things to take into account: the nut, how wide it is. Rule of thumb: the wider it is, the better it is. Why? Usually cheap instruments tend to have a narrow nut. Concerning the shape of the neck is subjective. When they say comfortable, usually it's a modern approach, but remember the amount of wood you have here influences the sound. The more wood you have, the more extra kind of, I don't know if I call it resonance, but the sound travel. One time I was touching something that resonated here, and the sound from here went to the table, and the table, since it was hollow, it is hollow, amplified the sound. Another time touch the drawer, and so that means the whole sound travel up to here. There are some tuners that take the sound from the pressure, not from the air, so the sound travel up to here. So remember that also the thickness of the neck influences the sound. So if you have a very modern, very like this, Takamine has, you win playability and you lose something of the sound. Canilea has a different way of tying. There are holes and pins like a guitar. Usually when you have a hole here, it's difficult to change the strings, because if you put the string in the hole, make it get out up to here, take it with your finger from here, make a knot, and pull it back. They say I think the difference is not huge. There's more contact with the body, so it transfers more sound. So don't think, oh, I prefer this, I prefer slots. Remember that nothing is neutral. In a small percentage, everything that happens on an instrument influences the sound. Strings, cheap ukuleles or medium level ukuleles, they always strung up with Aquila Nightcat. Because they're the best strings? No. They're the best strings for instruments that are not the best instruments. Some people can differ, but have a different opinion and swear by Aquila strings, Nightcat. I don't. When you will change the strings, maybe with better strings, they will not sound so good, because these strings, and this Aquila, because I got it with Aquila, these strings overpower the instrument. It gives a lot of color, a lot of sound, and it is good if your ukulele has nothing to give. But if your ukulele has something to give, I strongly recommend strange strings and try fluorocarbon or titanium or other things. And there should be a whole video about the strings. So high G, low G, subjective. I have many ukuleles, so I tune every ukulele in a different way. I usually tend to have low G with instruments that are deep enough for they have a wider surface. Okay, so if you want to use a low G on a concert or on a ukulele or a soprano, which is even more rare, make sure it's a pineapple. Pineapple is not just the shape, it's not a fancy shape. There is more air. There's more air to make the low G sound fuller. I don't think that IG has no meaning or purpose. High G has some purpose. You can do what else campanella. Let's see what campanella effect is. You make a resonate in one note to the other note after the other note, and you can get it if you have this. So I strongly recommend start on a high G and then buy another one with a low G. So depending on what you're going to play, choose. Remember that low G tend to sound better on tenor ukuleles. Tenor ukuleles usually have a brighter sound. There's more tension, there's more space for your fingers, but there is a catch. They do not have the typical ukulele sound, at least when they're tuned like a concert ukulele, G, C, E, A. But if you tune lower with other strings, other baritone strings, or the second, third, fourth, or fifth string, or a set of classical guitar nylon strings, so you can tune lower without this, but the strings are not loose. You have an instrument that changes the pitch, it's lower, but with thicker strings you get back the mellowness of the ukulele. Moreover, in some situation with B-flat instruments, and you can read their chords and the match, because the instrument becomes a B-flat instrument. Sopranos, one tone higher with specific strings, they come into their own. I think they sound better, and they cut through the mix and in a situation with live better, they're better heard. And I know you have to transpose, so you have to read everything one note lower. Okay, you can make it. Baritone ukuleles, not the typical sound. They have the typical mellowness of the ukulele, but we associate the ukulele with high-pitched sound. So from one side, they have the mellowness of the ukulele, but just lower. I like them better than tenors, but I have to admit that pitch-wise, you get into guitar territory, but it doesn't sound like guitar. It's just always a ukulele. It's a shorter pitch, it's a shorter scale, same pitch, and much mellower sound because they have thicker strings. You have to understand if you like the idea of the ukulele or the real sound of the ukulele. If you are like the idea of the ukulele, you won't have room space. You don't necessarily play Hawaiian music. You play every sort of music. Go for the tenor ukulele as your main instrument. I strongly recommend the concert because the concert is in the middle and you can easily switch to soprano and tenor playing what is in the middle. Soprano, they tend to be auto-tuned here down the neck, most of instruments, unless you buy a very expensive instrument, and usually unless it's your main instrument, you play a kind of music where you want to play soprano. Very few people spend a lot of money on expensive sopranos. That I don't know, but I figure out there in tune even up the neck. Very easy to carry around. One thing I would like to get but I don't have is a long neck soprano. Some people call it a small body concert. Has the scale of a concert but the body of a soprano. I think that's a good compromise. You won't have this kind of boxy sound of the soprano. Obviously, it's not that it's longer. There's a difference in sound because strings, everything, as I said before, influences the sound. But it's a good compromise. It's called long neck soprano. What to say that I didn't know before? This is the main things you have to Yes, but there's a choice of woods and other things we get into more. I say depending on what you do. If you play jazz, if you play blues, go for the mahogany. Obviously, this difference are more important if the solid top, if the solid is laminated. I don't know, but it's not very important. If you like something more into your face, you want more dynamics, go for the spruce. I like cedar that is mellow. I said also mahogany is mellow, but I don't know how to describe sounds. I like cedar a lot. Usually cedar tops, yeah, you have to play it in time they open up. Cedar tops open up sooner, better said, sooner than solid tops. Back inside, not so important, but okay. All solid instruments, if you mean business, get an all solid business, but the prices rises exponentially, so I don't know. It's up to budget, okay, budget and how seriously you take the instrument. Amplification, oh, piezo, they don't sound that good most of the times on cheap instruments. One option that I have, there are several options, okay, but with 40 euros you can get these things, so you don't touch, you don't anything, you don't pierce holes. You put it here. It's a double side scotch tape kind of, but it's quite solid. Once you get it, it stays for, you can remove, but then the thing that make it stick to the instrument, you have to use another one. You cannot change easily like anything. This is more expensive because it has a knob for the volume. Here is small, okay. Inside is empty. It gets their sound from the, and is quite good, not the perfect, but there's an also iRig Italian system. It's something you put here, hanging here, and there's an actual microphone that gets the sound mostly from the air. This has lesser feedback. This is a white, bulb. I thought it was better anyway. I put some wooden pins. This uses pins. Other things, okay, this, oh, I like most of the times friction tuners or things that look like friction tuners, but they have some mechanism, so to speak. They're used on sopranos or more expensive instruments. Then there is the looks. Well, yeah, I mean, the looks is important, not so much. Usually instruments have a glossy surface. If you're not good, very good brand and very expensive, they tend to deaden the sound. And an instrument that is not very expensive, matte finish or open pore finish is better. It doesn't look so good, but on very expensive material, glossy, good. Canilea, I think they are a different way. They have a different way. So they make this glossy surface UV cure things. It's another a horse of different colors, so to speak. So go for they also make evidence. How to put it? They make it look better. They make the wood look better. Um, Other things that I have to say, I usually use straps. Don't be weary of straps. Straps are very handy, convenient. I sometimes use also picks if I had to play one note after the other, like melodies. Other stuff, what to say. Then, once you get the instrument, you can buy many instruments because you like the ukuleles, but basically they don't make you a better player. That's my opinion. Maybe they will make you. That's what happens to me. Play more. I'm playing this. I want to play that. I'm playing that, and spend more time. Obviously, remember, not everything that you learn on a size is immediately applicable to the other size. So play all of them, because you always play the tenor and you never play the soprano. It's not given that you play so you can play, but there are some problems. Okay, so play all of them if you want to play all of them. You want to specialize. No, everybody's free as long as you know your ropes. Okay, don't play a tenor because everybody plays the tenor because it's fashionable, because Shimabukuro plays the tenor and Odrin Guerrero plays the tenor. You can play whatever you want. I will stress, concerts are the most neutral for a beginner. Okay, you want to have a real Hawaiian or typical ukulele sound, don't get a tenor, don't get a baritone. Baritone has a mellowness of ukulele, but it's too low. People like the ukulele also for the higher pitch. Having said that, yeah, where to buy? I like Thomann. One brand that I like is Harley Benton because they make wonderful ukuleles for the price. You cannot believe it. Many people don't buy. They say, for this price, they must be. No, it's not a scam. I got a 80 euro solid cedar top concert that is beautiful. Look at it, and it sounds good. It sounds at least like a 160, 80 euro instrument by another brand. I'm sorry to say that Kala are overpriced. Sorry, but that's it. Overpriced. They have a huge range of instruments, but they're overpriced. And that's it. There are many good brands like Lanikai, Ohana, Highlander, medium level. Oh, Kala makes also excellent ukuleles, but Kala is like Yamaha. It makes from very cheaper called Makala, like a sub brand. And don't remember, if you have a proximity store, try them in a store, because nothing like having your tenor or concert or soprano in your hands makes you understand the feel. You cannot describe the feel that you have. Maybe you discover, okay, I like ukuleles, but I don't like the usual Hawaiian sound. I go for the tenor. Or, oh, I just like the soprano. In time, you will get all of them. They're not a very expensive instruments with a. I got with a Harley Benton a 30 euro instrument that, okay, doesn't have a beautiful sound. It plays perfect, plays good. It always sounds like a 80 euro instrument, not like a 30 euro instrument. I think that's it. Oh, remember, when you practice, don't be able, that goes for every instrument. I play the trumpet mostly. Be able to play softly, very softly, loud and very loud. Okay, that's very important. Dynamics, because I'm not very good on with this hand. I'm quite basic, but I learned a lot of chords, coordinate transpose, where I fret all the strings, and that's very important. Okay, I think that's a long video, but I had to say a lot of things, but many times people are not. Oh, remember, action is the distance from of the strings from the fretboard. It's subjective, but try to play here with a tuner to see if the instrument is in tune. Some ukuleles, mainly baritone, have a truss rod. You can adjust with kind of a wrench. You can adjust the force with of the neck that is opposed to the pull of the strings. Beware that solid instruments are more prone to get cracks, and that's a good thing about having a good laminate. Okay, it stands it's less susceptible, prone to break because of humidity changes, temperature changes. That doesn't mean can't happen. It's very rare on solid. So you have to keep in some range of temperature. So if you live in a very dry place, put into a case, put something humidifier, call it up, look it up on the web. Mainly if it's an instrument that costs you more than $1,000 or euros, treat it well. Him, masculine. That's it. I think that is a very interesting video that I've never seen a video with all these contents in the same video. I claim this information from other videos, other websites, and my personal experience. Okay, so I really think these are, if you are a beginner and you're still here, is half an hour well spent for money that will be well spent. Goodbye.